So Katrina, welcome in this food forest.
It looks fantastic. I even have food in my hand, as you see.
Voilà.
So there we go, that is proof. So tell me, tell us about this. You said, I think you're going to give a definition.
Of a food forest. So what is a food forest?
Yeah.
I think we all know how a normal forest looks like. It's with trees.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that we are going to do in food forests, what we are doing is we mimic those forests. So we look and study those forests, okay, what's growing in there. But we are as humans hungry and we want to eat. So we look at those species and we replace them with edible species.
Right.
So for example, here we work in different layers, just as in a normal forest. And here we have annuals we're growing. And the next layer, you're tasting it right now, raspberries.
Yeah.
And then the next layer, here you can see we have almonds growing.
Yeah.
There might be even a bigger layer.
Yeah.
Right now there isn't one, but there could be like a huge apple tree standing tall behind them. So the biggest thing in food forest is you have all these different layers and you maximize the solar surface. So if you have just this field, it's like just this one field having contact with the sun. But if you do it like this, where you have like all these different layers, you almost double the photosynthesis that can take place. So you can double the production. And what the nice thing is, for example, if you plant a grains, you have to put the seed in the ground after you first tilled the soil, you amended the soil. It's a lot of labor. You have to do it every year again, because after 1 year you harvest it.
So you're talking there about the annuals as opposed to the perennials. Is that's my understanding, that the perennials, that's what's really important in a food forest?
Yeah, exactly. So the plants that die every year, the annuals, it's so much work, and we're lazy as human beings. We're programmed this way. If you plant one tree, you have to just plant it once in your life, if you're lucky, and it keeps producing for the rest of your life. So that's one of the biggest philosophies behind having an edible, perennial landscape. A food forest is you plant it once, then you have to do some maintenance, of course, but it's a whole different story. So the same with these raspberries, they also keep growing. You have to do some little maintenance, but it's a whole different way of managing a land.
So if just to be very, very clear at the outset, you had talked about your Damascene moment, why you'd got so interested. You'd seen degraded land, you'd seen people living next to it who couldn't even fill their bellies. There was a disjunction there. I said to the audience at the beginning, I said, listen, I'm going on a journey. Here am I, a sort of a city girl, but with a real interest, understanding the well-being of being in nature. So with those edibles and those perennials, what can I get out of a food forest? Why should I invest my interest in that, just in an absolute nutshell?
Well, it's nice you use the word nutshell, because there lies the answer for me. You can have a food forest for pleasure, and then it doesn't matter how much food you grow, it's just you pick what's there. But you can also have a professional food forest to really feed the world, feed your community. And then one of my favorites are nuts. We need bulk foods. Right now our bulk foods are grains. I'm not sure, but do you eat cookies, pasta, pizza?
Yes, of course I do, Louis. I do. Not in huge quantities, I hasten to add, but I do eat those things, yeah.
Well, imagine that, so it's like, it's built out of grains, So imagine if we take 3% of those grains out of it, we put 3% acorn flour in it, or chestnut flour into it. Would you taste it?
Yes.
Do you think?
Oh no, sorry, I thought you meant would I be happy to eat it? Well, the answer was yes, I would. Would I taste that 3%? No, highly unlikely. No, I would not.
So the thing is, people, it's hard to change people's diets. I'm not going to walk into your home and say, okay, now you're going to eat only acorn bread. You would be hesitant to do that.
I probably would do it, but anyway, I probably wouldn't refuse you, Louis, but go on,
Okay, a lot of people would. So the idea is, if we can change 3% into food forest, bulk food, you wouldn't taste it, but you would see it on the landscape. That's 3 on every 100 acres would be transformed into forest, or you can have like these huge corridors in the landscape where you have the normal annual agriculture, but then next to it those forests. So it will make a huge impact, and you can do it for you as yourself. You can have really a high tonnage if you have a lot of chestnut trees or acorn trees, and you can also work in those different layers. You can below those trees you can have smaller shrubs. You can even have animals grazing under it. So
indeed, that's about a choice, isn't it? I think we're going to definitely come to that when you're going to explain about that.
Definitely.
So what I've grasped is that you're saying, look, Kat, you could just have it and it's quite ornamental and it looks beautiful, and really, and don't be nervous, you don't need that much land, but actually you can. This is a very commercial concept, and proof of it. I mean, it is already in different parts of the world, and that's also a way that you could, generate revenue from it at the same time as kind of being in more of a symbiosis with the planet, with the nature that's around you.
Definitely, and